Pop Culture Pastor.
So, Cody and Justin's here. Hello, this is the Pop Culture Podcast. Pop Culture Pastor Podcast.
I thought we had started a new one.
No, it's the same one. I'm excited to ask you guys this question, and I skipped the pastor part, but I shouldn't because we're all pastors.
That's right.
We are.
And Justin's here, a guest, a fellow geek of the round table.
Hey, what's good, everybody?
What's up, Justin?
Hey.
Justin, tell the people what you do.
I'm happy to be here. Say by day, I work with physical therapy. By night, I am all about youth ministry. So, hey,
Nice.
That's snazzy.
Yeah, and we all love pop culture.
love it.
And Justin's here because he's seen the movie we're talking about later on in the pod, which is Prey.
Eat, pray, love.
No,
But
it's not Eat, Pray, Love.
Say we're pastors. It's not the put your hands together, pray.
No, yeah, it's
Different pray.
Prey is in you're the opposite of Predator.
I will say, Eat, Pray, Love stars like my third favorite Roberts.
Why the Julia Roberts slander? I mean, I don't. How dare you, sir?
I'll never understand.
Julia Roberts is America's sweetheart.
She is the Hillary Swank of her generation.
I don't even know what that means.
I was about to say that
Exactly.
exactly.
In fact, I'm ready to call it out as terrible Hillary Swank slander.
Well, you either like Hillary Swank or you don't.
Why don't you like Hillary Swank? What did she ever do to anybody?
Clearly you haven't watched The Office, Dave.
Was she in The Office? Or was that in an episode of The Office?
It's a deep cut.
Okay. Yeah, well,
I have derailed this opening segment.
you have. I don't even
Successfully.
know. I'm not even sure what's happening right now. What I was going to ask was if you were a movie star who made millions of dollars, would you fly coach? Would you fly commercial airliners?
I'm hitchhiking or busing across America in an RV.
No, come on. No, you're not.
I think occasionally I'd go with coach. I think it'd be fun to fly,
Yeah, I guess what I'm
First
saying
class,
is
but-
if you could afford private jets, would you take private jets?
I'm not Taylor Swift.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying I'm not.
All right, let me narrow this down for you. If you were Tom Holland, would you take commercial flights?
Yes,
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
because I'm interacting with the people.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently
I'm for that.
it got out that he takes commercial flights
Okay.
still
He's a man of the people.
as Tom Holland Spider-Man, And I'm perusing Twitter when I'm trying to find anything I might want to talk about on the pod today. And something from the Independent Voices. This is the independent.co.uk. It's some UK publication, which just makes sense since Tom Holland is British. It found a quote here from someone who wrote this article. We've reached a point where we're actually congratulating celebrities who, in spite of their insane amounts of money, designer clothes, and lavish mansions, are mere mortals for doing the bare minimum. Because people were giving Tom Holland props for flying commercial. And my thought is just like, do we really have to tear down everything? Like people, it made people feel good that Tom Holland flew commercial. And this writer's like, they could do so much more. Is this really? I'm like, why? Why do we do this?
That was a brilliant Billy Madison interpretation.
Yeah.
I'll speak gibberish later.
So I will say, in light of the articles that have come out about the celebrities that fly their private planes and it going against everything that Greta and I stand for in this world, I will say, I think Tom should be applauded that he's okay flying with us regular people.
I mean, imagine being so used to complaining or writing about complaining that you had to find something wrong with that story. Oh, we're giving him credit for flying commercial. I mean, it's not like he's a pastor of a mega church. I mean, we've talked about that before, about these guys who, are pastors allegedly, and they're heads of big, huge churches, and then they have like 2 private planes.
And said Jesus would have had them too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that story was bananas.
That was really bananas. And so here you have a guy who could be flying around in private jets, and nobody would say anything, by the way.
No.
And he does. And so people are like, oh, that's kind of cool of him. And, someone's going to tear it down, because that's what we do. We're just a culture of tearing everything down.
I will not tear you down, writer of this article.
Okay.
For all I know.
It ends here. That's what you're saying.
It does. You might have had to fill a quota against Tom Holland. I don't know why, but
the British do seem to hate their celebrities. They don't like their celebrities very much, I've noticed. But we won't even say the author's name.
America loves them.
Do we love our celebrities?
We love Britain's celebrities.
We love Britain's celebrities.
Yeah, I
think
we
that's
really
very
love
true.
the royals.
Yeah, the
100%.
Royals, Benedict Cumberbatch and everything. Anyone that was ever in Downton Abbey. Yeah, we love you.
We love the British Royals more than we love the Kansas City Royals. I'll tell you that much.
Ayo.
And they're gonna be royals.
I feel that's not far off. I think you're right.
Okay. Welcome. As I said, this is the Pop Culture Pastor podcast, and Cody and myself and Justin are here today to talk about Prey and the legacy of the Predator, but not yet. That comes later. First, we're going to go out into the lobby. It's time to go out to the lobby. We're going to answer some listener questions, so meet us out there in just a few moments, will you?
Welcome to the lobby.
All right, we're out in the lobby. Welcome, and welcome. We're getting our snacks. Nachos for me.
Nice.
Chocolate-covered ridiculousness for Cody.
I am going with Reese's.
Oh, wow.
The mini
Reese's,
bites.
He's like, Reese's covered zucchini.
Ew. Do you know me? How dare you?
Which one's the least popular?
How dare you?
Yeah, well, anyways, welcome. It's time for listener questions. Justin,
Yes.
you have not been briefed on what these questions are going to be in any way. So,
No, I am flying by the seat of my pants.
yeah, one of us will go first. Then we'll allow you to go, and then the other one of us will go.
Okay.
Just
All right.
know I am
Sandwich.
going beast mode.
All right.
Okay. What is... Oh, wait. I guess I got to tell you who sent in the question.
Please do.
Scotty.
Okay.
Scotty Walker.
Scotty Too Hottie.
Hey, the guy.
Scotty Walker.
The guy.
I heard he doesn't... I shouldn't have said that. He doesn't like being called that, does he?
I think he likes it better than being called Scott.
Oh, okay. All right. Scotty is from Salina.
Yes.
Wonderful family. We had dinner at the Red Lobster with him.
Good times.
we
You
were
notice
there
the flying lobster on the sign?
on the Red Lobster
So,
side.
so he's got his arms out. He's flying.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
flying
Superman.
lobster. Yep.
I
He's
had-
the Superman lobster.
That's right.
I hadn't noticed that. That's interesting. I just eat at places. I don't really, do detective work there. I'm not really analyzing their logo. I'd like to get a closer look at another basket of cheesy biscuits.
Now we're done.
If we're talking like, hey,
Cheddar
just,
Bay
keep the biscuits coming, lady.
Let's
like
go.
we're out. I need more biscuits. Oh, thank you, doll. Thank you for bringing me more. You're always nice to them when they come out with, wow, thank you so much. And then like they're gone for 5 minutes. I'm like, where'd all the biscuits go? These kids eating all the bread, and then they're not going to eat their meal.
That's right.
So what did Scotty ask?
What did he ask?
I'm sorry. What? Where are we? I lost my train of thought there.
Scott had asked a question.
Oh, he did. What is the greatest comic book miniseries ever written?
That's tough.
The greatest comic book miniseries ever written. Did you have one in mind?
I do.
Well, why don't you go first?
Okay.
'Cause I have a couple that just spring to my attention.
It's a toss-up for me. Batman Nightfall.
Okay, is that a miniseries?
I want to call it a miniseries. It could have gone on forever.
Well, I think that was just a regular. What are we defining as a
It's a
miniseries?
miniseries is also my thing.
Yeah, but it was you read it in a graphic novel probably, but it was actual issues of a ongoing comic.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's a miniseries
Yeah, I
for
don't
my
think you're
argument.
right. All right.
And then I'm also going to go with The Killing Joke.
Was that a miniseries?
It was a lot shorter than Nightfall.
You did not understand the assignment.
I did. I warped it into my own assignment.
Okay. Well, I mean, hey. All right. I'll go with one. If that's what you're going to go with, I'll go with one that's like that as well. Just so you don't feel alone. Are you going to tell us anything about them? Why you think they're the best, or were you just going to give your answer and be like, "No, that's it. I'm out of here." This is all about conversation. It's a podcast.
Nightfall has probably the greatest. I'm going to say it has the greatest gauntlet run of any comic book series. Literally, Batman has to fight all the villains that have just been released out of Gotham, and only to end up being broken by Bane.
I mean, I feel like this is the only comic book story you ever want to talk about.
Because it's the most epic of the comic book stories. Because literally, I can sum up most every Batman story there's a new villain in town, and they're super smart. They have the edge on Batman for a while, but then, the world's greatest detective has solved another one while dealing with personal issues and tragedy. This one...
I don't know how you can make Batman sound so boring. That was the most boring description.
Ouch. And then The Killing Joke.
He was like, you were doing your movie trailer voice. In a world where the billionaire
so Killing
dresses
Joke.
up as a bat.
Killing Joke. I will say.
That's the one where Robin dies.
Yeah.
Is that a spoiler? I'm sorry.
Spoilers.
It's been out since the late 80s, I think.
Yeah.
I really just loved the ending of it because it ends abruptly, and you don't know if Batman is going to have the Joker arrested, if Batman's going to kill the Joker, if Batman becomes part of the Joker's posse, because it ends literally with the Joker telling this ridiculous joke that makes me laugh way too hard. And then Batman starts chuckling and he puts his hands on the Joker's shoulder and ends.
Okay.
So
interesting.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Where
I remember
Batman is
vaguely.
very serious and doesn't ever laugh at anything. He just dead serious.
Mhm. Justin, you may not. I don't think you're much of a comic book guy, right?
Yeah, I feel ill prepared for this one.
Yeah, that's okay. You don't have to have an answer.
My first thought, I'm really into as far as the comics go, I really do love Batman comics. I think they're super exciting, and I like a lot of the artwork and everything. I was going to say The Killing Joke. I didn't know if that was a mini series or not, but that is a great one.
Depends on how we're defining it. I'm guessing Scotty's going to say no.
Yeah, he's probably going to say no. As far as Marvel goes, I always really liked the Spider-Man comics. But yeah, I don't know of any miniseries or anything. Like I said, I was not crazy on the comic books.
Yeah. So Scotty, here's for future reference. You're probably gonna have to really define some of these questions, especially when you're talking the best of, because Cody does not know what he's talking about most of the time, and is misidentified. No, I'm just kidding. Seriously, well, if we allow storylines in an ongoing comic, although I don't know that this comic lasted a whole long time, but All-Star Superman was just freaking amazing. Just a great comic. And the first storyline, it was kind of the All-Star lines where they were kind of, they were some sort of reboot, I believe. DC's had so many of them, I can't even remember what it was. But I remember it being oh man, this is the wholesome Superman that I've been missing. Like, he's still a hero. There's still stakes. And yeah, I like that one. But if I'm talking like miniseries, the first one that immediately jumps to mind, Scotty, is Watchmen. So The Watchmen is, I think, would be regarded as one of the greatest miniseries of all times, right? Although I'm not sure which came first. Because I know they put them out in issue form. I believe they came out in issue form.
They came out in issue form first.
They did. Okay. Because I know I've seen both. I've seen the old issues and I've seen the old. I mean, that was one of the first graphic novels I remember reading.
Yeah.
And in fact, they make you read those at KU in some class. I know they were that was one of the books. So we even study graphic novels in college now.
I would have taken that class.
It was
Sounds
well.
awesome.
The Watchmen is just amazing because it's got such. It has this just deep, like, kind of story it's telling, and the narrative of it all is just amazing. And it's sort of satire, and it's sort of commentary, and it's sort of. I mean, it's just got all these things going on in it, and just wonderful. That's who is that guy that writes Watchmen? Alan Moore. Yeah, Alan Moore.
I saw the movie.
Movie was great. Well, I mean, I don't know if it was great, but
was a long time ago.
looked pretty.
Best Zack Snyder movie.
Over 300? Are you going to put it over 300?
I'm going 300.
Man, I'm tempted to say that 300 is Zack Snyder's best movie just because the material matches his style so much.
That movie's epic.
By the way, is 300 another Alan Moore graphic novel?
Oh, wow.
Is that who does that, or is that Frank Miller?
That's a good question.
That's a graphic novel, I believe. I don't believe it's a mini series, but 300 is also really good. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it in this conversation.
Which
agree.
Alan Moore
did that one too.
did The Killing Joke.
Alan Moore did The Killing Joke.
So all apologies, people.
All apologies for what?
Just all the apologies.
No, well,
I'm naming and claiming all your apologies.
No, let's be clear. The Killing Joke still happens within the pages of the ongoing Batman comic, correct?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Oh, maybe it didn't. Maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, Scotty is the expert.
Scotty will know, and he'll say, Cody, you're a jabroni. And I'll be like,
No, I may be wrong.
it happens.
That's the only one I'm not real sure of as far as whether it was in an ongoing comic book or not.
Maybe Scott can recommend some good ones to check out.
Oh, Scotty could do that for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Do you have any more? Because there's another one we haven't mentioned that I feel like we got to mention, and that is Kingdom Come.
I was going to say that one is, again, not knowing what your definition of miniseries is.
Well, that's another one where I'm pretty sure it came out in issue form first, and then they collected it into a graphic novel. I'm pretty sure that came out in issue form. That one's by Mark Waid, and the artist is Alex Ross, the guy that does the paintings. Famous artist who just passed away recently.
No relation to Bob.
There's that.
Well, right. He does not have a flocked Funko like Bob.
Love Bob Ross.
And for those in the not in the know, flocked means it's furry. It's a Funko with fur. And if you're curious, it's Bob Ross's afro and beard that are furry.
They went all out on that.
Yeah, it's a great Funko. It's a great Funko.
Is it hard to find? Or is it fairly common?
I mean, I don't think it's super common. It's not super valuable yet because it's Bob Ross, man. Not everyone's out there looking for Bob Ross Funkos.
That's true.
But they will be. One day, I assure my wife that it's going to be worth millions.
I have a
My
Bob
wife.
Ross Popsy Funko.
There you go.
That one's fun because it pops up a motivational message.
Kingdom Come takes place in like the future. So all of your recognizable DC superheroes are older, and the world is now basically overrun with younger children of the superheroes, the old superheroes, and they're running amok. They're out of control. Superman is in forced exile because he could not stop a nuclear attack on Kansas, of all places.
Well, I have heard it a million times. If we ever do get attacked, they're coming for Kansas.
protect Kansas at all costs.
Crisis on Infinite Earths would be a big one as well for a lot of people. Wasn't my jam. But I know a lot of people would say that.
Would Civil War be categorized?
Yeah, actually, absolutely. Okay. Civil War was a series. And I would put it up there in concept. I think the concept of Civil War is amazing. I'm not sure they pull it off in execution.
No, because there's some big leaps towards the end.
Yeah, in especially in moments. Man, there's moments inside the story that were like killer moments.
Yeah.
Peter Parker unmasking himself in public after he joins Iron Man's side. The killing of Goliath by the fake Thor.
Oh, that was upsetting.
Thor, as you call him,
yes.
faux Thor. And then directly after the end of Civil War, the assassination of Steve Rogers, Captain America.
And I would say Steve Rogers just completely stopping in the middle battle at the end is intense. Although, like, everyone else just stopping didn't make sense. Like, you could go on without Steve.
Yeah. So I would say that one too. The one in my heart, the one that I loved the most growing up was Infinity Gauntlet, which is the story that Marvel in its first saga kind of adapted with Thanos gaining the Infinity Stones. And I loved that one because it collected all the heroes from the Marvel universe, all your most powerful ones, and Thanos just wipes the floor with them. So that one was always my favorite. And then in true Thanos fashion, he beats himself somehow, right? What Thanos in the comics really loves is the idea of competition almost. Like he loves like testing himself. And so he always leaves a little trapdoor where the heroes can get through and really challenge him. There was something about Thanos where he couldn't deal with total power. He couldn't let himself have it, which is interesting. It's fascinating. They don't delve into that too much, but yeah, that was the one in my heart. Anyways, that was a long answer for that question. Scotty, comment on the social media post and give people a list. What are your best? That's what Scotty is our resident comic book nerd, comic book geek of the round table.
If you have ever seen Scotty's collection, you will tremble at the amazingness.
Yes. And I've already reserved a spot on our show as a future geek of the round table for Scotty when we do a Be Kind Rewind for Red Dawn.
Oh, wow.
Red Dawn and Black Adam.
No,
like Scotty.
Oh, you mean when we review it?
Yeah,
oh, okay.
Scotty has already said he's going to share his Black Adam knowledge since we don't know Black Adam.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's like Be Kind Rewind. That movie hadn't come out yet.
It's going to be an instant classic.
Well, we should do Red Dawn
future.
first. We should have him on for a Red Dawn Be Kind Rewind because apparently he watched that a lot with his dad.
As one does.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. Scotty, give us your favorite miniseries of all time. Give us a list so we have reading material. This question comes from Danica Giesman from Wichita. And she says this: scientists have managed to reanimate pig organs. With this in mind, who is cast the star in the movie about the pig zombies?
Okay, so I've given this one like way more thought than I have given like most gifts in my life.
Okay.
So, loved ones, your Christmas gift did not get this much thought. Just know that. So, I kind of have two categories.
Okay.
So, if we're going campy, I'm going to go older actors.
Let's just.
But
okay. Are we going campy?
Well, no, I
feel like it's got to be campy if we're talking about pig zombies.
Okay, I got two categories. So the first one's campy, if we go campy. So I have Nick Cage being the pig Armageddon guy. He's warning everyone, pig zombies are coming. And everyone's like, oh, you're crazy, Nick Cage.
Repent!
Yes. Okay, so then Jeff Goldblum comes out. He's the bioethics dude that's like, you guys are messing with things you shouldn't be messing with.
All right, I'm going to stop you right there. The movie company, the movie studio is already like, man, you're already at a big overhead on money wise, and this movie does not sound like a moneymaker.
It will be once you hear so scientist Sigourney Weaver.
Okay.
Just because we need someone serious. Because the test subject in my campy pig zombie movie will be one Bruce Campbell.
Oh my! This is the weirdest cast I've ever heard of. This is the weirdest mix.
How you gonna pay for all those people, huh?
They made Sharknadoes, plural. We can find a budget for a pig zombie movie.
All right.
You're not wrong.
Okay. Justin, do you have thoughts on this? Who would be in your pig zombie movie?
So for lead role, they reach out to Chris Evans first. Because what isn't going to Chris Evans currently?
And him or Chris Pratt?
Chris Evans then denies it.
He turns down the role.
Turns it down.
In the pig zombie movie. Okay, I like that yours has a story to go along with.
And they're like, it's cool. We'll get Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, yeah, as one does.
As one does.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how that's gonna go. You know, that's the next one. I don't know. Pig zombies? I just keep thinking about that talking pig Babe, man. Like, what in the world?
Yeah, well,
like,
does the old guy from
freaks me
Babe,
out. Yeah.
is he in this movie? As just a gag?
What about that?
What was his name? I can't remember.
He's the one that glued himself to the countertop.
Yeah.
He might be too busy gluing himself to Starbucks counters. But
I'll tell you what.
Who was that guy?
He's got to get in there.
How come I can't think of him? Anyways, go on.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
So those are some,
James Cromwell.
Okay. Yeah, I think James has a role here. Probably some old crazy guy. Maybe the guy that's, you know, yelling at everybody to like watch out, like warning everybody. Mm-hmm. He's seen it at his own farm. But ram you.
It's a loose sequel.
Yeah. That's all I got.
Okay.
That's what I got.
I like it.
All right. Here's my vision. My vision is 3 dudes who are working on a pig farm. They're the ones who find out about it first. They're the front lines, but they got to convince people that this is really happening. So it's Walton Goggins.
Okay.
From the bad guy from Justified. Steve Buscemi.
Oh, that's classic.
Yeah. And the third guy is Luis Guzman. Yeah. It's Luis Guzman, Walton Goggins, and Steve Buscemi. And they're like your 3 protagonists. They're the guys.
Awesome. That's great.
They've got to go out and try and convince people that the pigs are zombified and they're coming for brains. Now, meanwhile, the pig farmer is played by Sam Elliott.
Yeah.
And he's trying to stop all this from happening because he's not his gravy train. He doesn't want his gravy train to stop. So he's trying to keep it all under wraps. And he sends after them Danny Trejo.
That's epic.
Yeah. Yeah. Right?
Luis Guzman thanks you. This is the most anyone's talked about Luis since his appearance in Community.
I mean, maybe my biggest actor there is Sam Elliott. Maybe we can switch out Sam Elliott just because I love him. Maybe we knock him back to a cameo and we get like a bigger name for the bad guy, the main bad guy. Maybe we can get like who would be a good guy for a bad corporate style pig farmer?
Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges. I mean, we could get Jeff Bridges. They'd be like, how come you can't find these guys? They found it with a box of scraps.
Stick Clint Eastwood in there.
Get off my pig farm.
Yeah, Clint Eastwood would be good.
Get off my farm.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe John Hamm.
Okay.
Play on words there. I like it.
Wow.
So
Wow.
I had a second one.
Oh, okay.
So
yeah, what was your other genre here?
Okay, so we do it as a serious drama.
Okay, serious scary movie?
Yes.
Okay.
But
you got to go young cast here then,
I
right?
do.
All right.
Okay, so for my scientist, I'm going to have Cillian Murphy.
Oh, okay.
He's believable.
Yeah. All right.
Very serious
He's
actor.
like the hottest scientist ever. And I can say that because I'm comfortable in my sexuality.
Well, he also plays Oppenheimer, so.
But dude is like his eyes, man. His eyes are hypnotizing.
Yeah.
I have Jonathan Majors as my Armageddon dude. He's out there telling everyone to repent. Because it does have to happen. You have to have a callback to Revelation in this. Pig zombies. It makes sense.
Okay, Jonathan Majors. Refresh my memory.
He is Kang.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And 1,000 other things. But Kang.
I was struggling. I was like, I know that guy.
Okay.
I don't know who he is.
So my bioethics dude that's warning everyone.
This is really specific.
Brett Goldstein. Brett Goldstein.
Ooh.
So he's like cursing up a storm at all these jabronis. And then my test subject, because I'm like, I need a Mel Gibson-esque type of guy.
All right.
I went Thomas Hardy.
Okay.
Okay. That is a serious cast right there. The only person I left out who will make a cameo is Leo DiCaprio.
And who is the cameo in a serious, scary pig zombie movie? What character is the cameo?
I like to think he's the
CDC
president.
guy?
He could be the CDC
The
guy.
president?
One of the two. So,
President of the United States, and his name is Brandon. Just, as a gag.
I feel like you could almost make this movie and just snag the cast of Midnight Mass and make it happen.
exactly.
Get like Zach Gilford and get like the sheriff, and I mean those guys are so believable in that kind of stuff.
What about we get the dude who like the whole cast and the crew, get the guy who made Midnight Mass to do your pig zombie series, and you don't even know it's about pig zombies until you're like 4 episodes in.
Man, we can sell this. This is on.
It's cloudy and dreary and dark, and the dread is building, and then in episode 5, you're like, Zach Gilford is a pig zombie. I knew it. What a great series.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
We nailed it. We nailed that question, Danica.
Problem solved.
We will put up another post later on in the week for you to ask us even more questions for the lobby. We enjoy asking your listener questions and then giving you a shout out on the air for it. So, meanwhile, everyone sit back, get comfortable, get your snacks ready. We've got our snacks. We're heading back for the main studio. We're going to talk about Prey and the legacy of the Predator when we come back. All right, we're back and we're ready to talk about Prey on Hulu. So if
Hulu.
I was really expecting this to be in theaters.
Honestly, I didn't know what to expect from Prey. In fact, I would have probably never watched this. Don't get me wrong. We're going to talk about the legacy of Predator and my thoughts on like the first one and the experience of Predator. But I feel like the series has done us so wrong, especially Aliens versus Predator, which is for comic book geeks, when they said they were making those movies, there was this expectation that was just, they stomped on it and then ground their foot a little bit and then spit on it afterwards.
I'll say for casual fans, if you have a series, just keep going and going and going, and it gets more ridiculous as it goes on.
Yeah.
You lose the casual fan. You only keep the diehards.
Yeah. So when I first heard there was a movie coming out, that was another Predator movie on Hulu, going straight to Hulu, not in the theater, I had no interest. I was not going to see this movie. And then people started talking about this movie. And I thought, what? Are we into this? Are we into this movie? And so we decided, okay, we're going to do this. In fact, I still hadn't watched it until yesterday, the day before we recorded this. I finally sat down to watch this because Cody, you had watched it last weekend.
I had.
And you told me I should watch it, that it was good.
It was delightful.
Justin watched it and you kind of randomly watched it.
Yeah. It was kind of one of those things where I was a little bit of the opposite. Instagram threw so many like teasers out there that without wanting to see it, I was seeing it. It was like, hey, it's coming. But I didn't really remember that it was on Hulu until I just sat down Sunday evening and I was like, oh, it's just right there.
Well, the weird thing is this is like, so this came from Disney, right? This is their studio?
It wouldn't shock me just because Hulu and Disney are connected.
Yeah. And so it was almost like they expected this movie to be trash. And then it got ready to come out and they were like, oh, this actually is pretty good. But it was like too late. And then, so they started, there's been a lot of advertising for it.
Yeah, tons.
And that's, built up, my curiosity as well. So anyways, we saw Prey, just a general synopsis. A skilled Comanche warrior protects her tribe from a highly evolved alien predator that hunts humans for sport, fighting against wilderness, dangerous colonizers, and this mysterious creature to keep her people safe. It takes place in the 1700s. Yeah, what?
I was going to say the historical accuracy within it was very intriguing because I had to go back and actually Google and research and make sure that this tribe would be where it is located at this time, because by the 1800s they're in the Southwest.
Yeah,
and so
and so there's some tribe specific things that we could talk about later.
Yeah,
and it's really nitpicky because as spoiler alert. By the way, we're going to be going through spoilers, so if you haven't seen Prey yet, you don't want to listen to this.
I don't know
maybe
what
hold
you're
off.
doing.
This is the time to back
but
off.
Spoiler alert: when we get to the part where things that could have been better, I had to nitpick a little bit because it was hard to find something that was like, oh, that wasn't great. So I got a couple things, but I'm gonna preface it by saying they're pretty nitpicky, and one of them has to do with Comanche specific things.
Yeah.
Yeah, although I will say within this movie, it kind of changed the way I viewed the Comanche, just because in cinema, they are always the bad guys. Well, always the bad guys.
A lot of times, yeah.
There's a reason for that, because Comanches are known as, okay, you hear about the Sioux, you hear about these tribes that were warlike. The Comanche are it. As far as indigenous tribes in North America, the Comanche were the comparison I would make to them are the Spartans.
Yeah.
In Greece. They are that kind of tribe. They don't really have much culture to speak of other than war and war. That's it.
Because in the first,
they don't weave baskets.
The first minute of Hostels. That's the name of that Christian Bale movie. They're the ones that shoot, they kill a whole family, including an infant, instantly. And I told my wife, oh, this movie looks good. We go to the theaters and watch it. Literally, a family gets wiped out within the first minute. And Leah's crying, and she's like, why did you drag me to this movie?
You unfeeling, heartless husband.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes. So we're going to get to all that. Prey on Hulu. If you got a Hulu account, you can go watch it for free right now. So yeah, definitely. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Then come back to the podcast, because we are about to delve into spoilers.
Yes.
Broad takes on the movie. That's where we always start. Cody, what makes this stand out from the Predator franchise?
Well, first off, it's a prequel. And so a reimagining of the origins of human interaction with the Predator. And I love that it takes place with indigenous people. And just that whole culture. Typically it's either not mentioned at all, or it's glossed over, or it's usually painted as they're warlike mongrels that just pillage everything. And this had more nuance. It had a lot of good character development. And I think that it reveals a lot about the Predator's characteristics and persona. by the way that it engages,
Mm.
and also some of the struggles that are taking place within that certain time period.
Yeah. I do think this is more of a direct callback to the first Predator movie. There are more things here that are directly referencing something from that first movie with Arnold Schwarzenegger back in the 80s, including which, the movies get increasingly kind of crazy, like you said. But there were some pretty cut and dry rules that the Predator in the first movie adheres to, things he won't kill.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and they make reference to that in this movie of like, hey, it's a hunter.
Yep.
It won't kill unless it can hunt something. It's not going to kill something chained.
Yeah.
In the original one, it doesn't kill a pregnant woman. So like it seems to have some rules about what it's going to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if you don't position yourself as a threat, it's not going to hunt you down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks for the alpha. It wants it's more concerned about the highest level of kill than a kill.
Mhm.
It's not concerned with that.
Yeah. So it's interesting. I think one of the things that makes this movie stand out from the rest of the franchise is, as I said, it's this direct kind of play off of the first one. And the first one, which is it's so easy to look back at that first one and say it's so 80s corny action flick. But really, we've talked about this because we did the Scary Movie pod here. It builds the dread so well.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you the longest time before you see the Predator, the monster. And it does this thing where, like in the 80s, it was all about the unbelievably unbeatable action star, right? You got Rocky, Sylvester Stallone, you got Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger himself is that guy, these larger than life action stars. And instead of just one guy, you put a whole team of Marines or special forces together, and they're all like, you ain't never seen a platoon of Marines look like these guys. They're all huge.
It was a protein shake.
Oh man, you got Jesse the Body Ventura.
Jacked.
You've got Carl Weathers, and they're all jacked. Yeah, they're all just huge and they're bad men.
Yeah.
And then this whole movie is like in the 80s is like it's a turning on its ear of the action genre in the 80s where, hey, we're going to put all these bad dudes on the screen and you're going to be like, oh yeah, these guys are going to kick butt. And then you show them kicking butt, right? They have a mission at first where they're rescuing someone from this group of commies, because that's what they were back in the 80s. And, that has all the one-liners. Arnold throws his knife into a guy, says, stick around. Because it, impales him. Anyways, but it's the way it bent the genre was sort of unique and really, because at the end of the day, the Predator dies at the end of the first movie, but by its own hand. And I would say that even though Arnold survives, the Predator wins. He's the winner.
Mm-hmm.
He's the winner in that first movie because it ends with him setting off a self-destruct button. And, of course, he's decimated the whole battalion except for Arnold. And he starts like maniacally laughing after he sets it. It's a great movie. One of the best action films of all time, I think a lot of people would say. Here comes Cody being contrarian.
I'll just say, I don't know if it makes my top 10.
Okay. Well, hey, you know what?
Fair enough.
It wouldn't make Rolling Stone's top 10. Actually, I think it did. It was like their number 7. Anyways, why quibble?
That's neither here nor there.
We don't like Rolling Stone.
Why quibble? What I'm trying to say is this turns that on its ear a little bit because it takes the story of the first movie about this unstoppable predator, and it says, with all these men and their machine guns and their weapons, and it turns it around and we put it in a story where it thinks it's the hunter again, and it runs into what we would call a lower class of technological incapable human being because it's in the past.
Mhm.
And yet, something interesting happens in this movie, which is the predator becomes the prey, which they reference in the logo. The logo of the movie is prey, and it's got the font of the predator logo.
Yep.
And you're clearly supposed to see it as that, the predator becomes the prey.
Yep. Exactly.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
We
And
already told
that's my broad take on the movie is just this. I think what makes this movie very interesting is this whole idea of predator and prey and how that can switch around.
Yeah.
All right. So let's just get into favorite scenes. Justin, do you have a favorite scene?
Let me think here.
Doesn't have to be your absolute favorite, just something you liked.
Let me think. I'm trying to see how far back I want to go. If I want to go early in the movie or go late in the movie.
We can come back to you.
Yeah. I'll decide which one I want to do.
Cody.
I mean, literally, you could say every scene with the dog.
The dog was pretty great.
The dog's amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry? Is that
Yeah.
Sari?
So
Sorry? I don't know.
I do have information about the dog.
Oh, you do? Well,
Okay.
Yeah,
this is about to be the greatest pod you've ever listened to. Give us the
It
information on the
is.
dog.
The dog in the movie Prey had no acting experience before this movie, but kept getting extra scenes.
And now it's got a 6-picture deal with Universal. Yeah, I hear he's going to be the new Benji.
Well, should be. The dog's
Hey.
my hero in this. But I will say that probably my favorite scene might be when they get attacked by the lion, the mountain lion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, early on in the story, pretty early on still, when they go out to investigate because they think that the things that have been happening are due to a mountain lion.
In which they might partially be, but not fully. But they like split up into teams, and then she sets a trap.
Yeah.
And she's in a tree with another guy, and then the guy gets drugged down by the mountain lion, and then the mountain lion hops up there, and she falls off the tree, but she kind of injures the mountain lion.
Yeah, I was unclear as to what exactly happened in that moment because I thought she killed it.
I thought that she got a pretty good blow on it, but
But apparently she did not. She weakened it.
She
according
I was
to
gonna
her
say, I thought she stabbed it just like right in the heart or something. Like it just like
And-
as she fell.
which the brother, after she falls and they take her back to camp, the brother kills the mountain lion and takes all the credit.
Tabe.
Yeah, that was brutal,
Tabe.
man.
Tabe. I don't know how to say his name either, but I think that's it. He does, man. He does take the credit. That was a weird part of that movie.
He makes a
For me.
very clear distinction. He's like, no, we didn't. I did.
Yeah.
And you're just
Yeah.
like, whoa.
Well, it was weird. That was one. Okay, so we're not there yet, but this is one of the weird parts of the movie for me. But I will make a note of that. Make a mental note of the weirdness, the way they are to her, and we'll come back to that.
I will say, up until that point, the brother had actually been quite supportive, I thought.
Yeah, it's a weird. It was a weird thing for his character. I thought up to that point.
For me, I thought he might have gotten tired of her just keeping on with this
Yeah.
quest. And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm going to put you down so you shut up.
Yeah, although it's human.
It is.
Sometimes as humans, we're like, "When's gonna be my time?"
Yeah.
And we're like, "It's right now. I'm the war chief."
Yeah.
Taking the
Exactly.
credit. For me, okay, I would be remiss if I didn't just say the cinematography as a whole. I don't, it looked like they were filming in the same place, the Yellowstone films.
Oh, yeah.
Just glorious scenery.
Yeah.
The scenery of the whole movie is fantastic. Just
Yeah.
great looking movie. It was, I remember thinking when I first started watching it, even in the first half hour or so, I was like, this could end up being the worst told movie of all time, but I'm not mad because I'm looking at the scenery and I'm just like, this is beautiful.
Yeah. It delivered on that big time.
Do you know who the director is?
I do not.
It is Dan Trachtenberg. And you might say, who is Dan?
Yeah. Who is Dan?
So Dan not only directed Prey, but he directed 10 Cloverfield Lane. And so I say Dan Trachtenberg might be the master of turning a potentially unnecessary franchise into a compelling story / art cinema. Because 10 Cloverfield Lane was better than Cloverfield, in my opinion.
Cloverfield was horrible.
I
hated Cloverfield.
Hated the shaky
I got
camera.
sick the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay.
But then
We talked about Blair Witch recently, and that was the found footage craze thing.
That
They
was
were
the
still trying
scare
to
part, the
capitalize on.
tactic.
Yeah,
But 10 Cloverfield Lane, I thought, redeemed the Cloverfield franchise, if you want to call it a franchise.
yeah.
Fair enough.
Give John Goodman his props. Though.
Yeah.
John Goodman deserves some of that credit.
Give John Goodman everything.
So the cinematography, just starting off, I'm starting off there. It was amazing. For me, the bear scene.
Oh, yeah.
The bear scene's
That was
amazing.
nuts.
That was intense.
Yeah, it's intense. You have this moment where you think the bear starts chasing Naru, and then
Yeah.
the dog, and then the predator shows up, and the predator starts fighting the bear. And this is really sort of amazing. Anytime the predator is fighting with an animal,
Yeah.
like this, I found the special effects in those moments to be really cool because when something makes an impact on the predator, you can see it.
Like the splatter.
Like there's like a flash, and then if he's bleeding, as we know from the Predator series, he bleeds like this neon green blood, which
He's
is
radioactive.
awfully good for us.
Yes. Even when he gets attacked by the wolf, like that scene, the visuals are good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so all of the buildup, so the buildup to the bear, you're right, he attacks a wolf that's attacking a rabbit. He kills a rattlesnake. And the cool thing about the bear is she's running away from both of them.
Yeah.
She manages to get away from the bear, and you think the bear is trying to get into her in like this beaver dam in like that she's taking shelter in this river. And the predator drags the bear back to him and then like hand-to-hand combats it,
Yeah.
which is, it's just visually kind of stunning, shows you the power of the predator and like just how, like you listen, that bear was huge. There's no human being is going to win that fight.
No.
And the predator takes the bear out. So that whole scene was amazing, just amazing work. The actress, Amber Midthunder, who plays Naru,
Yeah. Unreal.
she's fantastic in that scene.
Yeah.
Just so good. Do you have another scene? Did you come up with one, Justin?
Yeah. And something I thought I'd touch base on with you guys is like, I noticed how, it was saying like, the Predator's first visit to Earth as though, this hunting ground hadn't been explored yet. I always thought it was interesting how like, if he was fighting an animal of some sort, like it'd like run up to him, bite him, or like scratch him or something, and be like, oh, I didn't know you could do
Yeah,
that.
or
And then
get
he just
a few shots in. on him.
like it's almost like he was feeling it out, like, oh, I don't know what you do, or if you're an actual threat. And when it did something to him, he's like, and now you die.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's like, he's almost waiting for it to be a threat before he does something to it.
Which was wild. I thought that was crazy.
But even then, he attacks the wolf because the wolf is clearly okay. So here again, I think this movie does a wonderful job of playing around with the predator and the prey aspect of of thought. And so he attacks the wolf because the wolf is chasing the rabbit. And so he's looking at it and goes, "Oh, that's a predator. That's something I want to kill."
Yeah.
Because I'm going to go after the bigger animals. He realizes that the wolf isn't all that. The snake tries to bite him, I believe.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it hits him, you see his leg a little bit, and then he just immediately dispatches
Impales
the
it, yeah.
snake. And then, of course, takes the skin. The wolf, he actually like melts down the
the
skull, yeah.
or the fur and the skin, and so he hangs the skull on his belt. It's really cool to watch the gradual like uptick of the predator experiencing
the climbing of the ladder.
the life on Earth and what is going to challenge him.
Yeah. I really like, so like, at the, what's her name? What's the main character's name again? Sorry.
Naru.
Yeah.
Naru.
So as we've already said, she refuses to stay down. Every time she goes out, They bring her back. She goes right back out. Doesn't even matter that she fell and like her ribs are killing her. She's right back out there to the hunt. Cause like for a while, I didn't even think there was a lion because I was just like, no, there's something else. And she knows it. I didn't even think there was a lion at all. They just thought it was a lion, but then there was. But finally that last time, there's a search party that goes out for her. And they finally find her and they bind her and they put her down and we're like, and we're going to drag you back because you refuse to go back. And then the predator shows up and it's like slaughter fest. And like the part that I remember the most is when the guy in the weeds is like, we have him. And she's like, no, he has us. That was wild.
Yeah. The whole scene in that field is great too, where the predator's running after her and you see the wheat parting or the wheat, but just the weeds, the prairie.
Yes.
By the way, the ongoing theme, the reason she keeps going back out is there's some rite of passage for a warrior in that tribe. And I can't remember what they call it. It's like their version of Rumspringa, I guess. I don't know. But like they're going out and proving their worth as a warrior. And she's, in fact, the brother makes reference to it as they kind of share like a joke about, you have to pick a monster. You had to pick this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great scene.
It's crazy.
So the only other scene I would mention, just because like it got my wheels turning, is just prior to that when she discovers all the dead bison.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so the U.S. government's not out here yet to do this because that's a thing that they do. They wipe out the bison, so then the indigenous people starve. And I'm like, are they making the predator an angry white man? But you come to find out, no, there are fur trappers out there.
So, at first you wouldn't know what that was. You're like, wait a minute.
And put a pin in that one too, because we're going to come back to that.
That might be a nitpicky thing.
I have some historical issues with that, but we'll go on here. The scene with Tabe's sacrifice, the brother.
Oh, yeah.
So that whole scene where he's fighting the predator single-handedly and he's winning.
Oh, he's kicking butt. Yeah.
That was what I'd been looking for the whole time. So from the moment I found out, these are Comanche, they're warriors, and in that moment, boy, you feel like, he's got a shot. He's doing some damage, and it was just first of all, the fight scene's amazing.
Oh, it's incredible.
So good, and then his sacrifice where he realizes he's been got, that it's behind him. He understands, like, I'm not going to escape this. That he kind of tells her, it's on you.
This is as far as you go.
This is as far as I go. Yeah. Right. And so that whole scene was amazing.
Yeah.
And heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
Heart-wrenching. And then the other one I had listed here was the final scene.
Yeah.
With Naru returning to the tribe triumphant, the same way her brother had with the lion, but she's got the head of a predator and she's covered in the predator neon green blood, has got it on her face.
She probably got cancer.
So
it has to be radioactive.
I love that that's the thing you keep going back to, is that the predator's blood is probably radioactive. Probably not good.
Say, I just realized it when we started doing this podcast tonight. I was looking at the poster and I was like, the poster basically gives you the end. I mean, the poster is a picture of her with green on her face, and you're just like, "Oh, yeah, that's the conclusion." Like,
it doesn't ruin it.
No,
it doesn't. Well, I mean, it's all these movies. You assume that the good guys are going to win, even against the Predator. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger gets away in the first movie. Now, it's a little more up in the air. I feel like the Predator does the most damage, but he still dies at the end by his own hand.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
If you hadn't seen it yet.
Well, it came out in 1986, so I think we're good. Let's move on to things that could have been better. And this is where I want to get into the French fur trappers.
Yeah.
Now I understand that with our times, it like, look, if you told me they were making a movie that took place in the 1700s and centered around indigenous peoples, then I would have said, okay, when did the evil white people show up? Like that's just going to happen.
And they did.
And they do, and they're kind of mustache twiddling evil.
Well, one of them in particular is like one villain is clearly like
Are they
the worst of the worst
Yeah.
of the French.
I would say, are they French?
Yeah,
Is that what
they're
it was?
French.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Now let me give you a few historical reasons why doesn't really work. Number one, the Comanche are the worst of the indigenous tribes. Like literally, the expansion to the west, they pretty much single-handedly hold that back as long as it does. Because not only are the white folks afraid of the Comanche, all the other tribes are afraid of the Comanche. Yeah. They slaughter other tribes.
Which they do make a point of in 1883.
Yeah. The Comanche are not to be trifled with. And so, like, it's interesting that these guys are even in the area because highly unlikely in this time in the 1700s, you would have had French fur trappers in the area because of the presence of the Comanche. They just wouldn't have been there.
Although this seems like their first encounter with the French.
Yeah, maybe, but it's awfully late. 1700s, French fur trappers would have been in Canada. They would have been in northeast, the North Midwest.
Because the Comanche at this time are like in the Dakotas, Wyoming area.
Yeah.
They haven't gone south yet.
It's awfully far west for any white folks that aren't Spaniards to be at this time. In fact, It's the Comanche that drive out the Spaniards that stop their trek north and keep them down south. So historically speaking, it's weird. In our times, I get it. I understand why they're the bad guys in this movie, but historically, it doesn't make a ton of sense.
Down with the French.
Wow.
Do you have anything that could have been better? I don't want to monopolize the time.
I was going to say my big complaint would be just how realistic is it that the French would be in this area?
Not realistic.
So, but I did take it as this is their first encounter because, like, she picked up the cigar and is like, "What is this thing?" And then, like, who are these people and what's this? And didn't know how to operate a gun. So,
I mean, if Lewis and Clark are kind of the first guys that make this expedition into the West to like explore stuff, that's not until like the early 1800s.
yeah.
So, yeah. Now, if you're telling me that this is just a random band of fur trappers that just bit off a little more they could chew and went out that way and never made it back to tell the tale, well, okay.
That's what I'm going to presume because I'm giving this movie all the credit.
Again, this movie was good enough where I thought, okay, we got to nitpick a little bit, but nitpick we will.
That's right.
The Comanche relationship with their women. Let's talk about that for a second. Most indigenous tribes have a deeper respect for their females than any of their white counterparts at this time for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
In fact, many tribes are matriarchal.
Yeah.
In nature, where a lot of the women are kind of calling the shots. Now, the Comanche, as we said, are very warlike. They're much like if you were comparing them to like a European human civilization, I would compare them to the Spartans. They were very much about war, and so there would have been this dynamic of the men being the warriors, the women doing the things. However, not to the extent we see them belittling her. Like all Comanche women probably would have known how to ride horses, to hunt from horseback. Like they were hunter gatherers, so the women would have gathered in this tribe. But I feel like it's a little heavy handed with the men when they're making fun of her, and maybe it's because they're delivering the lines in English, where I'm like, this just sounds like American.
Yeah, I also wondered maybe if it's just because her brother has taken kind of an elevated position within the household because dad's not in the picture. Yeah. And so the mom not wanting to lose a daughter because she's already lost a husband, clearly. And just that her brother is a big deal around the tribe because like everyone seems to be respecting him. And so I just thought maybe some family dynamics.
All in all, it's not a big gripe, but it just seems it's a little heavy-handed. It's like they're trying, again, I'm trying to stay away from the word woke, and I definitely want to stay away from the word Mary Sue, which, do you know what a Mary Sue is, Justin? That's the complaint where we put a female in an action movie where traditionally a man would be, and we make her the hero.
Okay.
And then we got to build these kind of rules around her. So a lot of people said Rey in the new Star Wars movies was a Mary Sue.
For sure.
And the argument they have is she doesn't really have any weaknesses. She doesn't appear to be playing by the same rules as everyone else. And so they don't give her any faults per se. And that's like, you know, when there's no humanness to the character, like I can see that argument. But here, the character of Naru has some weaknesses.
Yeah.
We understand her ambitions a little too much, that she does have a role in the tribe that she doesn't want.
Right.
That she would rather be the person out there doing the hunting. Like she clearly, while she's in conflict with her brother, she clearly idolizes and wants to be her brother.
Yeah.
And so, like, I thought the character was fine. I don't think she's a Mary Sue, which is why the heavy-handedness of the boys making fun of her in that scene is really just one scene we're talking about when they go out and get her that Cody was talking about. Which is a little heavy-handed. I was like, okay, we get it.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because they weren't really, I don't know, they didn't really downplay her or say, like, you're no good, or, like they didn't say like, you have no purpose, like you're a woman, we don't care about you. Like there's even a point where I think her brother's like, why don't you stick to what you're good at? You're really great at medicine. Like you should really keep going with that. Like don't worry about hunting, like do what you're good at.
Which she does keep using that skill throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
And she, I think, eventually kind of sees it as a strength that she can fall back on.
Yeah. And again, all of that, all the things you're saying is what makes that one scene a little weird for me.
It is a little weird if you look at, if you think back on it.
And especially like the fight between her and the random dude from her tribe.
Yeah.
Like
Goodness.
that felt all sorts of out of place. And I'm wondering why it's happening other than to show she can take care of herself in a fight.
It just felt like it was like the tribe jerk face, like that, the one tool bag that everybody's like, yeah, he's always running his mouth, and he's like, I'm not afraid to hit a girl, or
he's a tool bag, but he's our tool bag.
Exactly.
And then he gets worked.
The only other thing I had was some of the special effects. Maybe you could tell this wasn't the theater release kind of movie because the initial dropping off of the Predator from the spaceship looked all sorts of weird.
It was kind of strange because they saw, she mentions, I saw it in the sky, in the clouds. But then, when he's dropped off, it's not as
it was super weird.
Eventful,
it was like
or anything.
We're shown like the back of the ship, and it like goes away, and it looks like really bad video game animation from like the 1990s.
So I took it as that was the ship trying to go back into camouflage mode.
Well, it was just weird how it was framed, and then like the Predator unmasks himself, and then I don't know. It was a weird way to show that the Predator was there, right? That it got dropped off, so to speak. It was like they dropped off the kid at the pool, but in Predator world, you drop off the kids at the planet so they can hunt, things.
Have fun hunting, honey.
Come back with some skulls.
And it did.
Almost. No, false. It does not come back.
Almost.
Anyways, again, I think all of that's pretty nitpicky just because this is a pretty good movie. Let's go to the greatest story ever told award. Biblical themes. Cody, you got any biblical themes? To me, there's a big one and I can't wait to share it.
Oh, how about you share it first?
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay, I'm going to go with David and Goliath.
Okay.
There's the obvious David and Goliath theme going on here with the Predator being Goliath and Naru being David. However, I believe that the whole story of this is kind of hinging on how Yeah, that's not so much of an underdog story that we play it out to be. Well, first of all, the biblical account
count's not.
It's
for
not.
Sure.
We say it's an underdog story, but it's not. David was a slinger. He practiced. Slingers are one of the most important units in an ancient army. They're deadly accurate from like 100 yards away. And that says something to us that David winning over Goliath isn't all that far-fetched. But what it does say, and combining it with this story, is the predator isn't always the predator we think it is, and the prey can become the predator quickly if the prey understands the predator, right? And this, what I love about this movie is it sort of takes like Darwinistic thought and throws it in the trash. Right. So you have the Darwinistic thought, like, the food chain and the circle of life and, like that there's just the dominant predators and that it's all part of the ecosystem, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of says that, all of that's nonsense when you get to a certain point, because everything, like, listen, a poodle could take Justin down if it had the element of surprise and enough planning.
I could see it.
I'm rooting for you, buddy.
Thanks, man.
I'm just saying that I love that the idea of this movie, kind of one of the deep themes riding underneath the surface of this movie, is the whole playing around with the idea of predator and prey, and how thin that line actually can be, and how we view what is predator and what is prey, because you're supposed to, like, the best part about this being a girl from this Indian tribe who's not supposed to be a warrior, is that she has the necessary skills. Not at first, not the like, she's working on her axe throwing in the whole movie. She's not like a super great bow handler. But she's clever. She's smart. And just like David and Goliath is slow. If Goliath gets close enough to David for hand-to-hand combat, that's over. David's going to die. But the thing is David has the rock. He picks up the rocks. He's got the sling. He knows he's got this opportunity before where has the advantage. He's clever. And if he gets Goliath before he can get close enough to him, then he's the predator. Goliath is the prey. In this movie, Naru becomes the predator, and the alien predator becomes the prey. And so I think there's a deep biblical kind of theme to that when you compare it with David and Goliath.
Yeah, that's a good one. For me, I'd say she kind of is like a prophetess, someone with prophetic ability, that she knows that there's something out there that the tribe is refusing to see. She's speaking out about it, even against the even against the will of her family, those that are close with her. She faces all sorts of ridicule, and she goes out into the wilderness, kind of like a Jesus would. And then, boom, she's right. But she's prepared, and so she's able to conquer. And so, like, that aspect is definitely present.
Just overall, that she's a powerful female.
Yeah.
That is a biblical theme. In case you didn't know, if you're listening to this podcast and you're not a Christian, the Bible and Jesus followers in general, the early church, very countercultural up to that point, where women didn't have a voice. They couldn't be witnesses in a trial. They were generally not treated well. They were less than human in a lot of, especially white civilizations. And like the idea that the early church really gets behind early is that women are important and they're valuable and they're equal in value to any of their fellow human beings.
And I'll say that even within Hebrew Bible or Old Testament culture, some of the most epic battles involve women. JL with the tent spike. That one's very cool. I do enjoy that story.
Yeah. Well, and it's just that's where the European church, right, the Middle Ages kind of goes wrong. That's what they lose that aspect of the church. And so when Europeans start coming to this country and they run into indigenous tribes who, again, in the Americas were very much more female oriented than our patriarchal societies coming out of Europe. And so the powerful woman, the woman who can do what the man can do and is capable and made to do those things, is a very Jesus kind of centered idea. The early church is full of stories of women leaders. Maybe not all of them make it into the things we like to talk about, because as we said, the Middle Ages church tries to scrub a lot of that. But trust me, it's a very Jesus-like thing to think that, hey, men and women are equal. Women are just as valuable. And in this case, the woman can be the warrior.
Yeah.
And so that was something I enjoyed about this movie. Anything else in that category?
I mean, maybe a little bit like Esther, in the sense that, like, she's going to save her people. It's like, shoot, it's like that's another reason why Naru keeps going out. She's like, no, it's out there and they don't know.
Yeah.
He's out there. And it's like, if she's going to save them, she's got to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
If she's going to save her people, she has to take a very scary stand and make it happen.
I'm still that scene at the end. I was just like, this is the most awesome scene ever. Her walking back to that camp with the predator's head in her hand.
The head toss is the head toss is a little bit like, I told you so.
Mic drop.
There's an art to the head toss for sure.
Yeah.
Let's go to the winner of the movie. Who wins this movie?
Oh, besides the dog.
Besides the dog, we all acknowledge that the dog's getting a 6-picture deal out of this. Maybe the new Benji.
That'd be.
But who's the winner of the movie? I'm just gonna go as you guys are looking. You guys are thinking Amber Midthunder.
Okay, well, you stole half of mine, so
who plays Naru?
How dare you?
I mean, she's the focal point of the movie.
Yeah,
she's the one who's in the frame most of the time in the movie. She's fantastic. Mm-hmm. She's amazing. Up to this point, she hasn't been in anything that really brought her to my attention, but she's been in some other bigger movies. She was in the TV series Legion, which would have brought her in our geek frame of reference, which was loosely based on an X-Men adjacent character. She was actually in Priceless, the King and Country movie about human trafficking. Did you know that?
Boom.
I didn't.
That's why she was my favorite.
But I think she's going to be huge now, and people are already talking about, well, who could she play in the Marvel universe? And of course, somebody I saw the other day, someone was like, she could play Wolverine's daughter, X-23. And I'm like, That's right. Because after they cast Wolverine, the new Wolverine is an indigenous Canadian, it'll make all the sense.
I guess it's going to make sense, isn't it?
Yeah. So for me, if we remove Amber Midthunder, I will go with a hybrid of Dan Trachtenberg, the director, because again, two franchises that I didn't think needed any other movies with them because they were trash before. I'll say it. And the Comanche people, they got representation in an action film, and they weren't viewed as the bad people in it. They were actually viewed as humans and actually seemed to have caring moments. They weren't just out for all the blood.
Yeah. I do appreciate that this movie was indigenous casted. That is it's a big talking point today.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make a movie set in the 1700s based around an Indian tribe, well, then I guess you better have indigenous actors. And that makes sense. And they were awesome. Like the whole cast, the brother, the guy who played the brother was Dakota Beavers. Yeah. He played Tabe. He was amazing. The mom, Michelle Thrush, the Chief, Julian Black Antelope, the guy we didn't like who was fighting with their Stormy Kip, who played Wasape. It was a really, really good cast.
Yeah,
and they all play
absolutely.
their parts really well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think all you needed to do were see some of the last names and you go, okay, we went indigenous. Like it is actual actors with, probably Native American, descent. It was.
Well, and the good thing about now is like, I don't have any actual numbers for this, but maybe more indigenous actors now than there's ever been. Except maybe for like the Westerns craze back in the, the 60s and 70s. Although back then the parts they're getting to play
are awful.
Well, depict their people in a terrible, stereotypical, non-factual way.
Are awful.
Yeah.
Very
true. Now we've got like, what's the series that's on right now?
Reservation Dogs.
Reservation Dogs. Yeah, it's getting a lot of critical acclaim and
on the Hulu as well.
Yeah. So, and I want to watch that. I haven't gotten to yet, but I've heard a lot about it. And so there's just a lot of parts out there. We mentioned Yellowstone and 1883.
Yeah.
Had a lot of wonderful indigenous actors in those two TV series that Cody and I both really like. And so it's good. It's great. I'm still going with Amber Midthunder. She's clearly the winner, but I can't argue with Dan Trachtenberg either. I mean, literally, you take out 10 Cloverfield Lane and he really hasn't done much. He's pretty new, and this is gonna put him on the
elevates.
map. Yeah, because it's a well done movie. It's well done.
He might be the savior of two franchises, to be honest.
Yeah, the Go Get 'Em Next Time award. Who loses this movie? Is there a loser in this movie, Cody?
Man.
The French guy that survives the longest, but then meets his demise epically. Yeah, that jabroni.
The European, this is like, so now with 1883 and this movie, we have two European colonial guys who lose their foot.
Yes.
And,
Let's say,
I'm left wondering the same thing. Like, how do you live in this time without a foot?
I mean, clearly not well. I mean, he was struggling.
Yeah.
Like it was not. Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think he did a bad job acting. I just think that literally
his character
was so bad.
Yeah.
You can't show your face around these parts, buddy.
Justin, who's your loser of the movie?
Man, I think just the French guys. It seems like every scene they were in, I was like, ugh. These guys again, like it was not nearly as intriguing as the Indian tribe or the Predator. Like all of that was so intriguing, and it almost felt like here comes these guys to wreck the day. You're just like, man, we were in the story here, and what are these guys doing here?
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're necessary.
I don't
to
know
be
if they were.
honest. I think they're just a story mechanism to get. Like it's clear that the whole tribe's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Including Naru, and they kind of distract the Predator.
They distract the Predator, and I think that it helps Naru study the Predator more.
Yes. So there's a definite mechanism in the story
Yeah.
that they provide, and that's, I mean, I'm okay with it, but yeah, it's the one big iffy part of the movie for me were the French fur trappers.
Yeah.
And quit smoking your cigars.
However, they're not my loser of the movie. The Go Get 'Em Next Time award that I'm giving out is to movie theaters. This was a movie that deserved to be seen in a theater.
The big screen would have been great.
Oh, with the cinematography and the fight scenes. Oh my goodness. And the sound that would have gone along with it. Oh man. I just kept thinking the whole time. I don't know if this is just streaming in general or if this is still kind of a product of the pandemic where so much more went to streaming. Man, this movie ends up being really, really good. And it really is going to have great word of mouth, which is going to be great for Hulu.
Yeah.
But man, imagine if this movie had been in theaters.
I will say that I would trade Black Widow being in theaters for this one to be in theaters, because like Black Widow could have went straight to streaming, and I would have said, oh, that's a pretty good streaming movie.
Here's a theoretical question for you. Other than Top Gun Maverick, Name another movie that's come out this year anywhere that has gotten as good word of mouth as Prey.
I would say Nope.
Maybe Nope. Yeah. Although Nope, people are split on that.
They're
Not
weirdos.
everyone likes Nope.
Well, that's because they didn't get it. I'll say it.
I have not seen
Yeah,
Nope yet,
I
and
haven't
because
either.
our theaters around here stink.
They do.
And I want to, but I'm going to go with movie theaters. I'm sad that this movie will be seen by people on a mostly smaller screens and not in a movie theater experience where I think it deserves to be seen. Maybe they'll put it out there.
If someone wants to buy me like movie theater seating
and equipment for
And
my
equipment.
home. Yeah, that'd be great.
thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the legacy of Predator for a second before I get to the bottom line question. This all stems from the 1987 movie Predator, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Are you aware the sort of the beginnings, the origins for this?
I mean, I watched the first movie.
So it comes out of a conversation that after Rocky IV.
Really?
Yeah, this is a true story. This couple guys, these couple friends, are having a conversation after they watch Rocky IV about like, oh man, Sylvester Stallone, Rocky, he's beaten everything he can beat now. He even beats the invincible, roided up, non-human Russian guy. The only thing left for him is to fight an alien.
I must say, it's like that classic, Taylor thing. It's like, where are we going with this? Aliens.
And so this movie starts by two guys just chatting about movies, much like we're doing right here, saying, well, I guess the only thing he's got left to do is to fight an alien. And so the script, it kind of comes off of a joke. And these two guys who've never written a script before come up with a script. And the original concept, they decided, centered on a plot of what it is to be hunted. And they slipped this screenwriter, because they don't have any credibility in Hollywood, under the door of 20th Century Fox producer Michael Levy, who would be the guy who goes on to serve as executive producer of the film sequel, Predator 2.
Nice.
Yeah. So these guys write the script, and initially it was only one and one. It was only a man and an alien. I mean, it was really simple, bare bones. It's Arnold Schwarzenegger who reads the script and says, "This seems too simple. I know what would make this better. A squad of guys."
You're right, Arnold.
And he was right. Yeah, it makes it much more interesting.
But
Arnold and the guys.
You know who the Predator wouldn't beat?
Who's that?
The 85 Bears.
Ditka in a squeaker. The Bears. So Predator, we've talked enough about it. I think it's one of the better action movies of all time. When the Predator first comes out, we haven't really seen anything like it. And I remember seeing the movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's at like the pinnacle, man. He's at the top of his time. He's riding high. He's been in all his action flicks. And this movie, all these bad dudes, Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura, and they just start getting decimated, man. They get picked off.
Poor Jesse.
And this movie was so different, where Arnold just survives. He doesn't win. He just survives.
It's a very different narrative for him. It as a whole, just barely getting out with your life. I mean,
and what's cool is this movie, Prey, has so many callbacks to that. In fact, there's a line in this movie about the warrior just survives, that the test that she keeps going out and trying to do, it's not about winning. It's about surviving.
it's about coming back alive.
Coming back alive,
Yeah.
right? She comes back alive. And in the original, Arnold Schwarzenegger just survives. I wouldn't say he wins, he survives. And that's the kind of the end of the movie. There's also other callbacks. If it bleeds, we can kill it. That's a line from Arnold Schwarzenegger in the first one. They make the same connection in this movie. If it bleeds, we can kill it.
Yeah.
I feel like there's maybe another line that I'm forgetting that is a direct callback to the original. But this movie is, first of all, spawns one of the best memes of all time. The Carl Weathers, Arnold Schwarzenegger hand clasp.
Yeah.
And it spawns all these sequels that are varying. Like a couple of them are all right. Predator 2 is okay-ish. Danny Glover doesn't, it's not fair to Danny Glover, who's actually a way better actor than anybody remembers, because he's kind of a joke, in Lethal Weapon. He's kind of a recurring joke.
He's
in Lethal
too
Weapon.
old for this.
He's too old for this stuff. Yeah. That's the running joke. But Danny Glover is really good actor. And he's like the best part of Predator 2, which is sort of a mess.
Easily.
Then there's Predators with Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody is single-handedly carrying the franchise at this point.
Yeah.
After several bad movies.
It's got some interesting things about it. I remember watching it and thinking, well, it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. And then there was this most recent movie with Sterling Brown from This Is Us. I didn't even see that one, but I heard it didn't get great reviews. Of course, there's the Alien versus Predator movies. This is the reason I didn't see the most recent one, because the Alien versus Predators movies killed my interest in any more Alien or Predator movies.
They were pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy bad.
Yeah. Pretty crazy bad.
So here's the bottom line question. Here's what I'm going to ask you guys. Should this movie revive the franchise?
This movie should be the last movie in the franchise, and they should delete like 3/4 of the movies in the franchise. The franchise is trash
Okay.
without the first movie and this movie, literally.
Justin.
If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. I am a sucker for a prequel. It's what draws me in more than any other kind of movie. I think this needs to be a standalone. Like, let this one be great and don't mess with it.
Yeah. I know that what Hollywood does is like, oh, this movie worked. Let's make another one. Let's do it again. I'm with you guys. This is the perfect ending to all Predator movies. And I know it's a prequel. It's not an ending. It's a beginning. But it wraps up the series in a simple way. It's got the simplistic feel of that. That first Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, it's not high on plot. Okay. It's simple. It's a simple movie of hunting and being hunted. And this movie turns it around, turns it on its ear, but remains simple and gives a wonderful ending to a very shaky series of movies. In fact, really, in my eyes, you just need to watch the original and this one. And I'm with you. Let it be.
Yeah.
This was a great way to end it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine myself enjoying another Predator movie that they could ever make as much as I did this one.
Yeah. Something about this was so introductory and pure in that form that, just leave it.
When
let
they
it be.
remake the original with Chris Hemsworth. And it's a comedy.
Oh.
You guys will...
Directed by Taika Waititi. I will vomit everywhere. No.
Yeah.
Honestly, I could see them remaking Predator someday.
Oh, yeah.
Like the original.
It's not an if. It's a win for me. And I think you have to have an up-and-coming class of just action heroes. And
have them get decimated. Like if they stick to the original, then I won't complain. I'll say, hey, that was fun.
maybe update some dialogue and storyline a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, because the first one's heavy on the one-liners because it was the 80s. Stick around. Freeze.
I looked up a couple of extras. Something that really intrigued me the whole time watching was the Predator's mask. Mm-hmm. I just couldn't take my eyes off of it. I don't know. I just was like, gosh, what is that? Like that. It was so primitive itself. It looked very.
It's primitive yet advanced.
Yeah, it says the feral predator's biomask is made from the skull of a river ghost from Predators 2010.
Oh, okay.
Is what they're saying that is from.
Well, it actually, so it looks a lot like the mask that they put on the original suit. Or you guys get this? We'll end this episode on some wild trivia. On the original suit of a very different looking creature that the Predator was going to be, when originally it was going to be played by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh.
Jean-Claude Van Damme was the original actor who was going to play the Predator.
I mean, he would have been bad news, man.
And it was going to be because they wanted the creature to be more agile
Sure.
than the Earthlings. But when you put all these big dudes on there, It just
Jean-Claude's a short dude.
it wasn't believable that no matter how agile it be. I mean, there's a scene in that first Predator where they're just shooting into the jungle, like emptying their clips. They mow down jungle, shooting in there. And at some point, they thought the Predator's got to be bulk. It's got to be something substantial. Because even with tougher skin, if it's smaller, it just doesn't have the same effect. I think they made a good choice, by the way.
Which I will say, growing up, Jean-Claude Van Damme like action movies are on my TV all the time. So
yeah, it didn't provoke enough fear. He wasn't big enough, so they switched him with 7'2" Kevin Peter Hall, who had just finished his work as Bigfoot in Harry and the Hendersons. There's your trivia.
Right.
historic figure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think we all love the movie. Tell us what you thought of Prey on our social media post where we post this podcast, the episode. Tell us in the comments if you liked it. If you haven't seen it, man, why'd you listen to this whole pod? We just spoiled the nerd out of it.
What are you doing?
If you did, tell us what you thought. Tell us what you liked. Tell us what you thought were great scenes. Anything we might have missed. And while you're at it, subscribe if you haven't already to the pod. Give us a rating. Tell your friends about us. Share the podcast. Do all that happy stuff. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you next week.